Okay, so we're recording and we're live. Woohoo! We're doing good, Karin. We're only 30 minutes late and on a completely different stream, but we're doing it. So for anybody who was watching and got notifications for the last stream that said, hey, Rollie's going live shortly, apparently we're a little delayed. So, so that's part of
we're here now. So.
But that's part of resiliency, right? We are resilient. We're still doing this, regardless of whether or not it goes as planned. So I want to welcome you guys to our first episode of Chatting with Wisdom. And so for those of you who have been following me for a while, know that we were doing Monday Whispers chats on Monday evenings. And we have switched off to doing this since opening up the Wellness Center. Things kind of shifted for me a little bit. And so I thought, what a perfect day to start is on April 1st, which is my birthday. So, and not only is it my birthday, but it's also my 50th birthday. And I keep saying that because I'm so excited and proud that I'm starting this new stage in my life. So I know that some people are like, oh my God, I'm 50. I'm not like that. I'm really excited that I'm 50. So Chatting with Wisdom is all about being able to connect with other women, to be able to inspire other women, to be able to support us in our lives. So whether it's different issues that we have coming up, if it's different information that we have going. And so I'm really excited that Karin has signed up to be our first guest on our new series. And I'm really glad to see that she's got perfect resiliency, that she can work through the challenges that we've come through. And so I'm going to read her intro. So Karin Goldgruber is a certified EFT, so Emotional Freedom Techniques practitioner. Her client-centered approach helps individuals who experience feelings of stress and overwhelm move towards relaxation and inner calm. And this is a perfect time in terms of what it is that we have going on in the world with everything. With the pandemic, our businesses are closed because, like I said, people just posted a note on my door saying to be able to wish me a happy birthday, because we're doing social distancing, because our buildings are closed. A lot of us are still trying to operate from home, as probably is Karin. I was working remotely most of the time for the last 4 years, but have switched to being in person and now have to switch back to going back to being remote. So there's a little bit of a bump trying to get things kind of shifted, and what programs can still be offered virtually and which ones can't, because there are some experiential services that can't be online. So this is a perfect time to be able to share with Karin. So the topic that Karin is sharing is the gentle strength of highly sensitive people. So, but before we go on to the topic, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, Karin? So I gave a brief intro about you. What more do people would be helpful?
Actually, I was born and raised in Austria, and I'm a Canadian by choice. So I'm lucky to have two home countries, and I've been living in Northern Ontario for over 25 years, and I've been an EFT practitioner for several years. I've done some energy healing, sound healing, and Reiki before, and all of those things led me to EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, which I find is perfect for highly sensitive people, because we get easily stimulated and overwhelmed. And EFT is such a gentle tool to help us to regulate and to reduce stress and feelings of overwhelm.
Nice. So can you tell me a little bit about what you mean by highly sensitive people?
Okay. Most people that are highly sensitive people actually don't even know that they are highly sensitive. They just noticed during their life that they're a little bit different, that they're picking up other people's feelings, that they get easily overstimulated. For example, they notice that violent books or the news or movies really affect them. Another thing is they startle very easily, but we also feel music and art very deeply. So highly sensitive people actually are born with this trait. About 15 to 20% of the population are highly sensitive. And the most interesting thing that most people don't know, everybody assumes that when you're a highly sensitive person, that you're automatically an introvert, so enjoying being by yourself, but there's also extroverted HSPs. I'm one of them. And sometimes it was confusing because I like being by myself, but then I also need, a connection with other people. I thrive on meeting new people. So it's very interesting.
Nice. So the other question is EFT. So we talked about like EFT, emotional freedom technique. So what is that? So for people that don't know.
Okay, EFT, emotional freedom technique, is a wonderful stress reduction tool. There is different techniques, as the name states already, but it's basically tapping on different acupressure points on your body while you are out loud focusing on how you feel about a problem that you're experiencing. Let's say, for example, you might be nervous about some upcoming project at work. You would say, even though I'm really nervous about this presentation I have to do, I deeply and completely accept myself. And the I deeply and completely accept myself part is really important, because we do acknowledge that we have those feelings, and we look at them instead of sweeping them under the carpet. We acknowledge them, and this acknowledgement of a problem, the feelings that we have with the problem, actually help us to move through the problem. And as we are tapping, and we usually tap on face points, and I washed my hands before so I can do this. But during right now, when I tap with somebody, we don't tap on the face points. So then you would say, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous. So you're sending calming signals to your brain as you're focusing on the problem that you're experiencing. And then you go through different rounds of tapping. So this is one round that I just did. And before we get started, we look at how intense the feeling is from a 0 to 10. So we have a way of seeing if there's any change. The goal is to bring us down as low as possible.
Okay.
And the nice thing is, when you're doing this, you see how you're calming down, how things are changing in you, and then a natural positivity and optimism emerges. Because sometimes people say, well, why do you focus on the negative, the problem, right?
Yeah.
They want to jump to the positivity right away, to the positive thoughts. But sometimes that's too early. We need to acknowledge the problem and then deal with it. And EFT is very gentle.
So now you talked about the different acupressure points. And
Yeah.
so there's different points. So can you tell us a little bit about what, so for, again, people who don't know what acupressure is, so can you talk a little bit about what these points are that you're referring to?
So we start out with the side of the hand point. Then there's a different routine that we're going through. Those points are also points that have been used for ever in acupuncture. It's just we're not using needles. We're just using our fingers to gently apply pressure on the points, which is really nice because you have your hands wherever you go. If you're in the grocery store right now, and you might be overwhelmed if you're looking at all the people being nervous or afraid or buying a lot of things, you can just take your fingers, tap on the side of your fingers. There's some other pressure points there as well. And you notice how your body reacts. You notice something, Rollie, as you're tapping on your fingers?
So that's really cool. I didn't know that. So I didn't know that we had, because I knew about like the different points of doing the EFT because I've done EFT as well. And so, but I didn't realize that there's like the ones on the side of the fingers. And I know that there's pressure points because of reflexology and having some knowledge that your whole hand is full of reflex points. And so is your feet, right? So, but I didn't realize that that's like really cool.
And it's so simple and easy. Like if you're in a meeting somewhere and you suddenly notice that you're getting nervous, you have your hand underneath the table, you can tap and nobody will know that you're nervous, right?
Yep, that's really
Or
awesome.
the collarbone point is a really great one as well, because you can just put your hand up while you're talking with somebody, and the pressure on your collarbone point here is enough to send the stimulation to your brain. So you're talking with somebody, they have no clue that you are really trying to calm down a little bit because you might be nervous. So
Well, they do now.
yeah, the secret is out. Oh my God.
It's not a bad secret to have, right? So, and it's things that we often do already, right? So it's like
Yes.
so I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling lonely, or I'm feeling whatever. And like, so as you're saying that, it's like, yeah, so like when it's like I'm feeling sad about this or whatever, like we just naturally do this. And
And you're absolutely right, right. Or when somebody gets really bad news, we put our hands on our face and we touch some of the acupressure points. Or children, sometimes they play with their fingers when they get nervous, and they're activating the points as they're playing with their fingers. Or we hold our wrists. Those are all points that we can use when we notice strong feelings, when we are afraid or scared, and we go into the fight, flight, or freeze response. And it really helps you to calm down, calm your body and your nervous system down, to be able to make good logical choices.
And it's just like you said, so one of the things that you said is that we naturally do these things, right? So like we naturally do these things, but yet we don't realize that we're able to just kind of pick up. So like these are specific techniques that actually help, so that we're actually using the cognitions as well as our acupressure points. But we have so many tools at our resources that we naturally do, that we don't even realize that those are the things that we're doing. So like I know that I play with my fingers when I'm nervous, and I've always done, like I've done that for a number of years, or I've known that for a number of years, that like I've done it obviously for a number of years. But the when my friend had actually taught me the different acupressure points, then it allowed me to be able to know that when I'm actually rubbing, that I'm actually doing specific things, right? So whether it's because my sinuses are bothering me, or whether, and so I use acupuncture stuff all the time, like not acupuncture, actually, reflexology points all the time, but they're the same, right? So
Yes, exactly.
so same as like for a headache, like so you actually push on that one into your into that spot, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just really interesting how these, all of these modalities tie in together, and how we just naturally have different things that we do to be able to bring calmness into our bodies, bring and like you said, I never even thought about that one, right? So it's like it makes
Right?
so much sense,
Or
right?
why does it feel so good when somebody puts their hand on top of our heads?
Oh,
You know, when parents put their head a hand on your head,
yeah.
it's really nice. Or as a child, for me, for example, and I only realized when I was doing my certification as an EFT practitioner, I started biting my nails when I was in grade 2. And when I started tapping, when I learned about it, first thing is I was tapping on feeling lonely, feeling disconnected to my family who is in Europe, right? So I was tapping for a while, and then after a couple of weeks, I noticed that I had stopped biting my nails, and I have tried everything to stop biting my nails. And then I'm like, oh my God, this really works. EFT works. I wasn't even focusing on stopping to bite my nails. So as a child, I used biting my nails as a way of trying to calm my nervous system down. And then with EFT, I learned to stop it because I didn't need it anymore, because I did some more focused work on stress reduction. So when I noticed that, I was convinced. I'm like, wow, this works.
And it's just it's so interesting, right? So we have a couple of people. I want to acknowledge a few people that are on. So Trudy said hi, ladies, and Trudy wished me a happy birthday. And Bev has joined us. Diana has joined us. Lillian, who is a reflexologist, so she can definitely relate to some of the things that we've been talking about. And Shelley. So hey, ladies. Really glad to see that you guys are all here. And if anybody has any questions or has any feedback, definitely give us some. So I'll keep coming back and checking the conversation with the conversation. So definitely, if you guys have any feedback, and we'll share this out. If you guys can share it out on your own timeline, that would be really great. I can't really do that while I'm chatting because it takes too much concentration for me to pay attention to asking questions and listening to what Karin is saying and doing sharing. So if you guys want to share it out, that would be awesome. But for those of you who are catching the replay, hashtag replay, and we will make sure that Karin is able to answer any questions that you guys have as well. So so now you said that you actually do this in your practice. So can you tell me a little bit more about what is it that you do?
Okay. When I meet with a new client, first we have a 20-minute free consultation where we see first if we want to work together, right? I think it's so important that there's a link here that we, when you feel right with somebody.
Yeah.
And also I find out what they expect from me, what they would like to learn and how they would like to use EFT in their life. And then in the first session that we meet, we start out with goals. We look at certain areas in their life that they want to improve, and then we set goals together and the steps that it needs to implement those goals, and also signposts so that we know that we're getting towards the goals. And then we start looking at the problem. So this might be a problem with, I have problems with connecting with my mom, or, I always get angry when my mom does this and this. So improving a relationship with your mom. So we start looking at how they feel, when they're talking with their mom and their mom says, oh, you should do this, and how they get like really defensive. So and then we take that feeling and we start tapping on it and bring it down. And so from session to session, I encourage people to continue tapping by themselves, and also to look if they're already seeing changes in their life. And sometimes it's really interesting. Like for me, I was tapping on feeling alone. I had improvements with my nails. Sometimes you may tap on your problems with communication with your mom, but suddenly things change at work. You're noticing that you have better communication with your boss and with your coworkers. So it's really exciting because it can show up in complete different areas of your life.
And I really like that point that you just made, right? So it actually, how we're dealing with one particular thing is that it oftentimes does show up in other places. And so an EFT is obviously no different than that. But when we make changes in our own lives, our lives do evolve, like things happen. So so we often hear from people that because my background is addiction and mental health, so I've often heard from people say, oh, that Karin, I have so much trouble with her, and it is so difficult to be able to deal with her. And when they start working on making changes within themselves, it makes huge difference as to how they respond to Karin and how those kinds of things happen. And so I love that example that you're giving, is that yes, we're dealing with this particular issue. Maybe the issues with mom still are not resolved, and it may take several years to deal with those particular issues. We've had a lifetime with mom, right? So,
yeah.
but some of those changes that are actually going on in us make a difference in what's happening in the rest of our world as to how we actually respond to the certain circumstances.
And the thing that I like about EFT, it's such a gentle way of looking at things, because sometimes there are things that we need to look at ourselves. things that we don't like about ourselves, things that we are ashamed of or embarrassed of. And because EFT is a really client-centered approach, we really listen to our clients, what they're saying, and we are repeating the words back to them. And I really love that. I regularly work with a EFT practitioner myself for my stuff, and I think that's really important for any practitioner of any modality, that we continuously work on our issues. But what I feel when I work with Ellie, I feel completely acknowledged and held in whatever is coming up for me. There's a safe space, and it really helps us to have somebody we can trust, where we know there's confidentiality, and we can be who we are, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I think for me, it helps me to see the strengths in what I sometimes perceive as a weakness, like being very vulnerable. Can look like that we are weak, but it's the subtle strength that I refer to for HSPs. We sometimes just see the negative things of being so sensitive and feeling everything, that we sometimes forget that we have experienced strong feelings all our life. We know like high and lows, and sudden changes of energies and feelings in us. And it's really important to honor and acknowledge this. And now I think for HSPs, it's really time to step up and to help other people who are having a hard time expressing their feelings because they just haven't had the practice.
Yeah. And I love what you said, right? So it's like we've had years of experience, right? So so people that are highly sensitive, and like you said, some people don't even realize that they have that sensitivity. And
yes.
We tend to tune out of our own bodies, and we have that fight, flight, and freeze response because for a reason. Like that is innate in all of us. It's not something that we need to learn. How we respond is what we need to learn, but it's innate in all of us. And so a lot of times we kind of dismiss some of those things that are going on, and it's like, oh, I'm at this party and like there's a fight coming on, and like all of a sudden I just felt rage, or I just have all these different things, and people are like, I don't understand where it all came from. And I think that that's what it is that you're exactly saying, right? So like we start picking up on other people's energies, and we start feeding on that when we see people that are going through riots, right? So people who would not normally become violent in a riot, or become violent in a riot, because they're picking up on everybody else's energy, and it's just that momentum that just keeps picking up and changing. And so during this time that we have of chaos, because right now we are in chaos, people are not able to go to the store. We have seniors that are have been stuck at home now for a couple of weeks. They've extended it another couple of weeks. We've heard on the news that schools are out until May in Ontario, and I know that that's different in different communities or different places in the country and other countries. But like for us, like here in Northern Ontario, because I can speak with Karin in terms of where we are, people are, so things are just starting to come up in our neck of the woods. Down in Toronto, things have been like full blown, things have been like, there's been lots of things happening down there. But up here in the north, we've had, so we're just starting to see some cases coming forward, and who's been exposed and what's going on. So trying to be able to keep people in their homes, so that in itself creates a lot of anxiety. Right? So it's like, so, and then you've got all the fear of like, well, is it really true? Is it not true? All those kinds of things. So how does that impact highly sensitive people with the circumstances that are going on right now, Karin?
It can go both ways, where you're really overwhelmed and picking up everybody's feelings. And if you don't have any way to calm yourself down, it can be very frightening and scary for people. And luckily, many people are reaching out to me, and I'm able to work with them and show them, and I'm doing free webinars as well, to show people how to just, tap on your body to calm down when you're noticing really strong feelings.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, for HSPs that are aware of how to regulate their feelings and to separate the feelings of other people's and for themselves, they can stay really calm and focused and peaceful. And I think it's really important for each individual to stay as calm and positive as you can. It doesn't mean that I'm not looking at some fears. Like I'm looking at fears of, not being able to go home to Austria to see my family this year. So we need to look at fears, don't sweep them under the carpet, but we also need to be as calm as possible for other people. And a friend of mine who's a EFT practitioner as well, she said, you know what, the other day I was in the grocery stores and I was so overwhelmed and I just started tapping. And another person asked her and she said, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm tapping just to calm myself down. The other person started to tap as well. And she said like, oh my God, I can feel it. This works. And if it's just one simple thing that we can share with other people to bring their feelings down, that's already very important. We have to keep it as simple as possible.
And you're right, it makes a huge difference. And so Melissa is actually on. So hey Mel as well, Melanie Bourgeois is on. And so is my brother-in-law David. But Melissa is asking, so would you use this with kids as well?
Yes, kids love tapping. And it's so easy for them when, just going through the points. And there is techniques for kids as well, but right now, just do it as simple as possible. Make a game out of it, that they're going through it. And they can even tap on their if they have a stuffed animal, tap on the stuffed animal, just for them to reduce some stress and overwhelm. It's very simple. Some of my colleagues are actually doing some videos on tapping for families right now with the overwhelm that they are experiencing.
That's great. So one of the things that you had talked about is how so the gentle strength of the highly sensitive person. So I kind of wanted to touch on that specific point about the gentle strength. What do you mean by that?
Highly sensitive people can really tune into how other people feel. And for us, it is really important to step out of picking up everybody's feelings and trying to help them. We need to step back and we need to take care of ourselves and really deal with our feelings. And when we are calm and peaceful, then we can really focus on our mission. Because when we're overwhelmed, then we can be all over the place and we don't get anything done. So highly sensitive people usually we notice everything in our environment. So you can walk into a room and you can pick up how everybody feels, but you can also walk into a room and pick up and know how everybody feels, like it's the good and the bad. But if you are calm and self-regulated, you can be able to help other people to be calm and do what they need to do. We also, when we are not overstimulated, we are very good at processing things very deeply. We think very deeply about things. And sometimes you can look ahead and see problems that might be coming up. And with this ability to see ahead, you can take steps to implement in a business or in a relationship to avoid those problems before they even come up. So when we are calm and peaceful, we are really able to contribute more of who we are instead of being, all over the place and being nervous and scared.
And it really does make that difference as to and that's with this modality as well as other modalities. And it's just really important, because I don't want anybody to think, oh well, so I have to switch everything over, and that's not necessarily true. Add it. So this is one of the things that so I've used a lot of different modalities. I use a lot of different modalities. And so I've added EFT as part of one of my modalities so that it actually allows me to be able to have that extra. So same as reflexology, like I've been using
Yeah.
reflexology since my son has been little. He would have difficulty sleeping. And so the reflexologist had taught me way back then how to be able to help him relax by using the different reflex points on his hands and on his feet to be able to get him to the point of being able to fall asleep at night. And so it's all these different modalities that we actually get to bring into practice, and
Yeah.
allows us to be able to take things to the next level, and bring that calm. And so sometimes my techniques will be EFT. Other times my techniques will be something different. Sometimes apparently I don't even know that I'm actually using reflex points, right? Because like I said, I had no idea that that would have been, and it makes sense now that I like knowing that that's a reflex point, but not even thinking that it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, right? Like
Yeah.
I do that all the time. Like, so if it's like, oh my gosh, like, so using all these different things and techniques allows us to be able to make things stronger for us, to take things to a different level for us. And so it's just really important for us to be able to use those techniques, and having people like Karin around and available to be able to help us with that allows us to be able to do that. So if somebody wanted to be able to work with you, Karin, how do they work with you?
I work mostly remote with people via Zoom. So they just connect me. We go through the step of the consultation, and then which is really nice in the winter in Northern Ontario. You don't have to leave your house when it's minus 40. And yeah, so it's very easy to work on Zoom. And I usually go through all the technical stuff before we have our first appointments, just to make sure that technology is covered. And then we connect over Zoom on a regular basis. Yeah.
Nice. So what we're going to do is there were links in the other in the other post. So I will add the links again to this post. So I'll edit the post to be able to put that information. But definitely reaching out to Karin if you guys are looking to be able to connect. I'm just going to double check to see if there's any other messages. So Melissa said that was great. Thank you. So she's the one that was asking about the child. And so, but if you guys have any questions, or if you guys need to be able to connect with Karin, I will definitely put the info in there. But if you guys are catching the replay, #replay, let us know that you're doing that. And Karin is able to jump in at any point to be able to do that. This is also going to be uploaded to my YouTube channel as well. So, so if you're catching this on Zoom, on YouTube, then we'll definitely make sure that messages get to Karin as well. But thank you everybody for joining, and thanks for your patience of us being a little
Yes.
delayed. And so April Fools.
Yes, we fooled you. It was 10:30.
And a completely different stream.
But they found us.
So one of the things is that a few years ago, this would have like really sent me on a tailspin. And so like, even when we weren't able to connect and that kind of thing, and because I also don't know Karin, I'm like, I don't know if she's actually going to be starting to get anxious. Like, she's going to be okay with this? Like, what's going to happen? And so Karin's like, no, we're good. We're good. Let's troubleshoot. We've got a plan A, plan B, plan C. So let's figure out how we're going to do this. So I'm really glad to see that, because like I said, that depending on who it is that would actually be jumping on, that potentially could have actually created a lot of anxiety for people. And so I just wanted to thank everybody for being patient, and thanks for coming and joining us here. I will share this out to the places that I did share out the first video to, and so that people can actually still get a hold of it and have access to it. But thanks. And anybody who follows my page knows that we just kind of go with the flow with Rollie's page. Like whatever. They've learned that I just kind of like, okay, yeah, it's working. Nope, it's not. yeah, it's glitchy. No, it's not. We're good. We just keep moving. So
just keep calm and take the next step, right?
so now, if only anybody knew how I was actually handling things inside, typically. But now, for the most part, I seriously just allow things to be able to just whatever it is that's supposed to happen is how we roll with it. And but my type A personality has really gotten the best of me over the years. But using techniques like EFT and other modalities that I use really have helped me to be able to, for the most part, stay calm. And so my family, on the other hand, will say, I see her from the back end and it's not calm in here sometimes. And they're right. It's not. Sometimes I really need to take those deep breaths, but we are human, right? So that's also really important for us to be, and it's every day starting fresh. Every day is, so if yesterday was bad, then start again today. And one of the things that I really like is that there's always a new minute, right? So it's not even, we don't even have to start on the next day. We can start today. We can start right now in this moment. So yeah, we are having a bad moment. We can deal with we can change that now. So in the here and
one
now.
moment at a time, one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. So
Rollie, I wanted to say one thing that you said, and when you said with all the different modalities that we can use, and the calmer and more peaceful we are, the more we can tap into our intuition. And I think that's really, really important for all of us to listen to our heart and to find the solutions that work best for us.
Yes, that is perfect. And that's one of the things anybody who's participated in a circle with me know, that I always remind people, take what you need and leave the rest. If it fits for you, then you take it. And if it doesn't, and if a portion of it works for you, then take that, right? So like I now have a new tool. now have a new tool.
I want to see this all over Northern Ontario, Canada, and around the world. People at the grocery store.
So it's and it's great, like I said, so we take what we need, we leave the rest, and sometimes we only take little portions of it. And so I'll have sometimes people say, well, I'm only doing part of it. Then only do part of it.
If
So
it works for you, great.
Nothing, right?
Yes.
So something is better than nothing. So whatever it is that works for you. So thanks again, Karin, for joining. And if you want to stay on when I stop the live, and we'll chat for a second. And but thanks everybody, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday, hopefully at 10 o'clock. But we'll roll with whatever punches come at us. So
thanks for having me, Rollie. It was really a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so chat later, guys.